If you feel like you don't trust yourself anymore, then this is the video for you. Keep watching. In this video, I'm going to be talking about why self trust breaks and how we can rebuild it unashamedly. Self trust is not confidence, neither is it motivation. Simply put, self trust is believing that your actions will actually match your intentions. Confidence comes after self trust. You need to understand that you cannot rely on motivation to get anything done. You can't be waiting to feel like it to be able to do things. Motivation is unreliable, and you cannot bank on motivation to be able to achieve the things and the dreams and the goals that you have for your life. For example, if you keep saying that you're going to wake up at a certain time every morning, or you're going to go to bed at a certain time, or you're going to do certain things in your day and you don't do it, slowly over time, you're programming yourself to actually not believe the words that you speak. You're letting yourself know that, hey, I say things, but I'm not trustworthy enough because when I say things to myself, I actually don't get them done. Every time that we don't keep the promises that we make to ourselves, we quietly stop believing ourselves. So, what are the common ways that we break our self trust? There are a few ones that I'm going to talk about and touch on in this video. And they are one, setting unrealistic expectations. The problem is when you set unrealistic expectations, you are actually unable to fulfill those obligations to yourself. So, for example, I wanted to batch create some content this morning, and typically I would have about 2 to 3 hours on a Sunday morning to do this. But my Sunday morning didn't go as planned because my mom would typically take my toddler out of the house for a couple of hours, but they left late today, which means that they're going to be back early. And then there were a few things that I actually had to get done in the house before they leave. So instead of setting the unrealistic expectation of batch creating 10 videos, I just told myself I have the time frame to create only one video today. And it's this video that I'm filming now because I have to keep the promise I made to myself by uploading a video every Sunday on my YouTube. So I rearranged my schedule to make sure that I hit this one goal, which is filming. I'm keeping a promise to myself. And two, posting my video today, keeping another promise to myself. Another way that we break our self trust is by waiting for the perfect time. The honest truth is that there would never be a perfect time to start anything, to do anything, or to do the things that you said you're going to do. Using today as an example as well, sitting down to film this video now is not the perfect time for me to do it because there are still some things that I have to do, but I just carved out time in that multitude of things that I have to do to sit down since I have prepped to make this video, to sit down and actually get it done. So there would never be a perfect time. You have to create that perfect time for yourself. Three is focusing on performance instead of input. The honest truth is that you don't have the control over what would happen when you do something. You only have control over your input. Since we're using me creating this video today as an example, what I have control over is prepping to film the video, filming the video, editing the video, and uploading the video. I don't have the control over how many people will view it in 24 hours or how many people will view it in its lifetime. Now, if I base my actions on how many people will view my video, then I might be discouraged if I get 10 views or no views. But if my focus is on my input, then I don't care what the outcome is. I have done what I said I'm going to do to myself. I've kept that promise to myself and I have shown up and I have done what I needed to do. The fourth one I'm going to touch on in this video is comparison. Comparing your behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel. So the honest truth of the matter is the grass is greener where you water it. Sometimes you tell yourself you're going to do something, but when you see what someone else has done, you judge yourself as being too small or not good enough. And because our eyes is focused on someone else's growth instead of our own growth, we might get discouraged and be like, what's the point? What's the point of trying to do this? It's not going to yield anything. I can never be like this person. But the goal is never actually to be like someone else. The goal at all times is always to be a better version of yourself, the best version of yourself, and never the second hand of someone else. So, these four things that I've touched on are some of the reasons why we break our self trust and we break the promises that we keep to ourselves. When you constantly don't keep your promises to yourself, you are training yourself not to trust yourself. Now, when you don't trust yourself, you can't show up with confidence. When you don't have that confidence to show up, there comes in hesitation. And then hesitation can lead to overthinking. And overthinking can then be dressed and guised as perfectionism. I have touched on this in this video here, and I would suggest that you go and watch that video when you're done watching this one, because sometimes the reason that we don't start things might actually just be because we don't trust ourselves to do it. But because we're not self aware as to that is the reason why we're doing what we're doing, we dress it up as perfection and just trying to perfect the plan and get it done. How do you build self trust? Number one is make promises that are smaller than your ego would want. Sometimes we want to go all out, even when we know we don't have the capacity to go all out. So you only know that you have 30 minutes in the morning to be able to do a morning routine. And would you typically plan that morning routine to be 30 minutes long? No, you will plan 2 hours, and then you will keep on failing. And you will say, oh, it's because of this. Oh, but the honest truth is you are just not realistic. So you have to learn to set small goals. If you wake up at 10 a.m. on a typical day, there's no need trying to start waking up at 5 a.m. It won't work. You are setting up yourself for failure. So learn to set smaller goals than your ego can handle, because your ego will want to be so grand and do the biggest of things, and but your capacity can't handle it. You know that you can't do it. So you need to set smaller goals and try to work in smaller increments in the things that you want to do. 30 minutes earlier to wake up, 15 minutes of reading in a day, 10 minutes of meditation, 5 minutes of reading your Bible, little things like that. Because over time, these little habits or these little time frames will compound and add up. Two, you need to detach discipline from your mood. If you keep relying on your mood to do anything, I'm telling you for free, you will never get anything done. Discipline is doing what you've said you want to do, regardless of how you're feeling. And the best way to ensure that you're disciplined and it's not about your mood is setting systems in place that would ensure that the actions that you do, it's kind of like habit stacking, right? You're making sure that I have to do this because I have put this in place. For example, a few weeks ago, I decided that I want to start taking morning walks. And I knew that if I left it just to myself on the way I felt every morning to take a morning walk, I may not do it. So I tied it to a habit that I typically would do, which is drop my daughter in school. So what I do is Uber and take my daughter to school, and I walk back home because it's about a 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes walk. So I drop her off at school and then I walk back. So when I'm leaving my house, I'm dressed for my walk and I just drop her and walk back. That way, I'm not relying on how I feel after maybe her grandma has taken her to school or her dad has taken her to school. I have forced myself to leave the house, so I just have to get home. Number three is to track your integrity and not your outcomes. You cannot determine how what you do would take. I said with the earlier example of this video, I don't know how many people are going to watch this video. I don't know when they are going to watch this video. But what I have control over is shooting, editing, and uploading. So when I have detached myself from the outcome and have focused on my input, then I'm able to keep my promises to myself. Because if I say I'm going to do a 30-day posting challenge of posting on my Instagram or my TikTok or my YouTube, and in the first 3 days, nobody's engaging with my content, if my focus is on the output or on the performance, there's a very high chance that I'm going to fall off and say I'm no longer interested. Besides, nobody's engaging with it. I've broken a promise to myself. But if all I care about is I'm going to show up for 30 days and in 30 days I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, I don't care how it's taking, I don't care what the engagement is. I've removed myself from the performance metric. I'm able to focus on doing what I have control over. And in that way, I keep my word to myself because I said I was going to show up for 30 days and I showed up for 30 days. For example, that's what I'm doing now on my Instagram. And the final step I'm going to talk about in this video is to forgive quickly and recommit immediately. So the honest truth is we're humans. Some things can happen. You can fall off, you can sneeze your alarm, you might have something come up, you might be tired. Really, you might do need the rest. Something can come up where you actually have to miss that thing that you've said you're going to do. But the idea is not to stay there. Forgive yourself. Oh, I didn't do this. I said I was going to work out 5 times a week. I only did four. That's fine. And next week we do commit to do the five. So you forgive yourself for not doing what you said you were going to do. But then you're quick to recommit to the actions that you have promised yourself that you are going to take. So with this, you're able to see that showing up intentionally, even in a very small way, is able to rebuild that confidence in yourself. The honest truth is, you don't need to magically become a new person. You just need to become consistent with the person you already are. Just being consistent in the things that you know would move your life forward would actually make you realize that I've been that girl all along. I've just been slacking. So ask yourself this question: what is one small promise that you are committing to keeping to yourself this week? Make sure you do. Make sure you set realistic goals around that promise. Make sure that you put systems in place to make sure that you fulfill that promise, and make sure that you are not focused on what the performance of the promise would be, but all that you're interested in is making sure that what you can control, you're able to do it and you leave the rest. Because when we take on the worries of things we don't have control over, we're just setting ourselves up for failure. And that's not what we're doing. We're showing up each day, being the best version of ourselves. If you found this helpful, please subscribe. Here, we're all about personal growth, owning our lives, and showing up in the best version of ourselves. I'll see you in my next one.